there was an article that Dr. Alicia and I read today in Moguldom Media. And Moguldom, shout out to Moguldom. Jamarlin Martin was the founder of Moguldom, and he's a friend of mine, and I like the guy a lot. And they basically laid out a lot of information about Black marriage, Black love, and Black relationships that you may not be aware of. They really went out of their way to defy a lot of the myths that you have about Black men and Black women, hating each other. I don't know. Give me a yes or no if you think that the perception of Black love and Black relationships is pretty negative. Yes or no if you've noticed that. I don't know if you guys have noticed. Alicia, what do you think? I mean, what do you think about media's perception of Black love and relationships?
Yeah, well, it just looks like from the article we read that they're trying to portray Black marriages as being very common among a certain income level, right? So wasn't it women who have a college degree and who make a certain amount of money are 70% more likely to be married?
Oh, we'll get to the stats in a second.
We'll get to the stats.
But I want to talk about the perception, right?
Okay.
Like when I watch TV, give me a yes or no in the chat if you guys have noticed this. But when I watch TV, it seems like in every Black relationship, there's either some boy, girl stuff going on, or there's, maybe people are single and loving it, right? Like I'm a single mom with no hope of ever getting married, and that's the way my life's going to be no matter what. Or there's some crazy chaos and drama, or they're marketing interracial relationships. That's what I noticed. Like the percentage of those relationships, interracial relationships they put on TV, I don't think it's consistent with what's actually happening. What do you think?
Yeah, well, that's what I was trying to get to. I think that what this article does is kind of shatters those myths that we see on television. And especially it talked about interracial relationships are not very common at all among high earning individuals. That's not what you see on television.
Yeah. Well, I know you got me watching Star Trek because, you were showing me Captain Sisko and the fact that he had this romantic love for a Black woman. He had a great relationship with his son. And it wasn't until you showed me that I actually realized how rare it is to see that kind of thing.
Yeah, you've never seen it before. You talk about Black fatherhood, you will find it in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. If I had all the money in the world, I would buy a television station and I would play Star Trek Deep Space Nine, all 7 seasons on constant rotation. That alone would make an impact on shattering what we think about Black relationships and Black fatherhood. What a great father.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to read some of the data from this article. I think it's really worth taking a look at because you're really talking about, a lot of misinformation, a lot of myths about Black marriage and Black love that I think people should be aware of. So let's get it started, shall we? Okay. All right. So this article's in Moguldom, and the title of the article is Fact Check: 83% of Black men earning $100,000 annually marry Black women. And here's what it says. They said there are many myths about Black marriage. Some claim that Black men are married at higher numbers outside their race. Others claim that Black women just aren't getting married. Another myth claims that successful Black men aren't marrying Black women. For the latter, the opposite is true. Black men who earn $100,000 or more are marrying Black women, according to an analysis of the U.S. Census data and other figures. A Yale University study found that just 42% of Black women were married. Researchers Ivory Tolson, who's another friend of mine, and Bryant Marks of Morehouse College questioned the accuracy of that study. So what they did was they went back and according to Tolson, he said that 42% figure includes all Black women 18 and older. So he said that what you need to do is reduce the age range to ages where you expect women to be married. That makes logical sense.
Who's
right?
marrying at 18?
Right. Ain't nobody getting married at 18 like that. I mean, a few people, but it's not that. It's not smart.
And it's not very common. People are married that age.
Exactly. So it said after an analysis of data from 2005 to 2009, Tolson and Marks found that 75% of Black women marry before they turn 35. So let's start there. 75% of Black women marry before age 35. Give me a yes or no. How many of you are surprised by that statistic? If you're surprised, type yes in the chat. If you're not surprised, type no in the chat. I'd be curious to know what your thoughts are on that. What do you think? Were you surprised, Dr. Alicia?
I'm not surprised at all. It makes sense. I mean, all of my friends and the people that I know, we sit around and we talk about, good grief, how come we don't see ourselves on television? And I usually say there's tens or hundreds of thousands of us all over this country. You know, there's plenty of us. We have no way of connecting with each other. And I will say that where television gets it wrong, I think like social media and a whole lot of social media sites that I've been exposed to, they really show like Black relationships doing well. Like I see a lot of positivity in social media, if you can believe that, boys.
You see positivity in social
media? I do,
media?
yeah, with Black marriages. And there's a lot of sites that I follow, a lot of social media sites that I follow or pages that I follow, and they show Black marriages in a very positive light. So I see that every day. But when I turn the television on, I do not see what I see on social media reflected on the television.
Interesting. Well, you know, a lot of stuff in social media, you know, it can be whatever you want it to be, right? It can be positive. You know, you can find positive stuff or you can find negative. So I guess the internet kind of becomes whatever you choose.
Well, what I like about it is that I can find, like if I turn a television on and I want to find positive images of a Black man and Black woman together, I can't find it. You know, I don't predict that programming. But I think like on social media, if I'm actually looking for, okay, positive Black marriages, healthy Black marriages, I will get dozens of pages that I can follow that'll just have pictures and videos and discussions relevant to me in my day-to-day life. You know, I can relate to that much better.
Interesting. Okay. So that 75% number doesn't surprise you.
It doesn't surprise me based on where I am and the people I'm around. It doesn't surprise me. And I think that like there's been like some false discussions or I would say some stereotypes about Black women that I've heard that I don't think is all that accurate. And I think it's time for us to just start changing our mind about Black women.
So you think Black women are perfect?
Black women are marriageable.
Yes, they are. That is true. That is true. Well, what about the fact, though, that 76% of all Black women grow up without a father? You don't think that plays any part in their relationships with men?
I think those Black women are healing. And they're healing through their partner. You can't change your background. You can't change the fact that your father wasn't there for you. But I think that right now, in this day and age, you can definitely heal through your mate.
Okay. Heal through your mate.
Yes.
All right. Let's give a shout out to Black women. Type hashtag Black women in the chat. Let's show our love for Black women. Put a hashtag Black women in the chat. Also, this is the blacklovechannel.com. Go to the blacklovechannel.com if you want to see healthy conversations from experts on Black love and relationships, things that are going to make us better and stronger and love and focus on our positives as opposed to our negatives. So if you're into that kind of thing and you love Black women and you love Black men, then the Black Love channel is for you. So the URL is right there on the screen. If you could also please hit the thumbs up button if you haven't done it yet. So let me keep reading here. There has been a long belief, and stats seem to back it up, that Black women with higher education have a harder time getting married. But, quote, Black women who finish college actually improve their chances of marrying rather than lowering them. Among Black women, 70% of Black college graduates are married by 40, whereas only about 60% of Black women with a high school diploma get married by that age, according to Tara Parker Pope of the New York Times. Does that stat surprise you that having more education actually increases the odds of a Black woman getting married? What are your thoughts on that, Dr. Lee?
I mean, it's my thought on it is that it's not just Black women, it's just people in general. People with higher education are more likely to get married.
Why do you think that is?
Well, it's several reasons. Number one, if you don't have your money and your life together, you're not going to be more likely to get married anyway. But if you're able to put the commitment in that it takes to get a college degree, then chances are you're able to put the commitment in and have what it takes to get married, to have a sustainable relationship. You know, that's just how it is.
Okay. Okay. All right. So let me keep reading then. For Black men with a college degree, scratch that. Let me get back up. I got ahead of myself. Black women with a post-secondary degree have more of a chance to marry than white women who dropped out of high school. That doesn't surprise me.
That doesn't surprise me.
Well, you're comparing extremes, right?
Yeah.
Black women with a personal annual income of more than $75,000 are more than twice as apt to get married as white women living in poverty. Why are they comparing black women with money with white women who are broke? Seems like you would take the money out of the equation and make it just income neutral. It sounds like they're stretching a little bit on that part of the study. What do you think?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, like even like the type of issues that black marriages have. Okay, so in my private practice, I work with black couples, I work with white couples, I work with Hispanic couples. And I will tell you, like, the issues that they come to me with don't range very much. Like, I don't see much of a difference. Like, there's not one issue that couples face that is solely a black issue. You know what I mean? All couples deal with communication. All couples deal with lack of intimacy. All couples deal with dealing with kids and blended families. Like, all of them deal with this. They're coming into therapy with the same issues. Like, I don't see much of a difference being this is a black issue, this is a Hispanic issue, this is a white issue. Like, you know, I don't see how things are way more profound for black marriages than they are for any other marriage. That's not what I'm seeing in my practice.
Oh, okay. I just got triggered. You want me to tell you what happened?
What triggered you?
Let me show you the comment that got me triggered a little bit.
I
want to address this. Tap dancer. I put it on the screen. So tap dancer, whose screenshot happens to be a coon. So maybe I shouldn't respond to coons. I don't know. But tap dancer says, dude, stop simping. And I think that triggered me a little bit.
Why are you triggered by what somebody you don't even know said?
I'm kidding.
I don't know.
It didn't trigger me. You know what it triggered me about? It triggered me about the fact that you have a lot of young guys that never learned what manhood is. And they think that publicly expressing love for a black woman is simping.
Well, go to his page. Can you get to his page? Let's go to his page and see what he's about.
I can't get to his page, and I don't have time for.
I'd like to troll back and just see. Let's look him up and see what he's about.
We are not going to troll tap dancing. No, because he's a tap dancing coon. We don't troll tap dancing coons. but I think that if you want to talk about something that, you know, when you talk about the impact of white supremacy and racism on black people, the idea that they've trained so many black men to really hate black women means they trained you to be weak. They trained you to annihilate your own existence because we can't exist without a black woman.
So tap dancer must spend most of his time watching television instead of like getting into his own positivity.
Well, I'm not really talking about him anymore.
I'm not talking about tap dancer either. Yeah. I'm talking about people like tap dancer.
Yeah, I think that. But the thing is, I've seen that, right? I've seen men who got the wrong message about what it means to engage with women and what it means to engage with the world. And I believe a lot of it's because they don't have fathers. But I think that 76% statistic is important for the men and the women. I see a lot of men, they don't know what manhood looks like. They think manhood means that you're always like hyper masculine. You're always like banging on you, like you ready to gang bang over bacon in the morning, like at breakfast. Like you just always smoking a blunt with a gun in your hand, with a liquor bottle in the other hand, ready to go and have sex with as many women as possible, make a bunch of babies, dump them off in the street. Like they don't because they learn manhood from stupid ass rappers who are basically living on a death wish. Like they never really had a father who could show them the balance that comes with manhood. That says, there are times where you have to be masculine, but there's times when you need to learn how to be gentle. And you have to be secure enough to know that it's okay to be gentle and still know that you're a man.
And you know what else? I bet people like Coon or whatever his name was, Tap Dancer. I bet people like Tap Dancer may not have had a father, but I would also say people like Tap Dancer has a lot of mama issues.
You mean like hating, like mad at his mama?
Yeah, I think he may have had some mom issues because in any form or fashion, if someone wants to say something positive about a black woman and then their reaction is automatically you're simping because you're saying something positive about a black woman, then he probably has some issues with women.
That's true. You know what? It reminds me of like how you have some of those pastors who hate gay people.
And then turn around, they're gay.
Yeah, it's because they're secretly gay. Like they secretly want to take it in the butt. So they're like mad at anybody who's gay.
Oh, so what you're saying is that if you're on the internet and you have an issue, then you need to look at yourself. If you get triggered if not necessarily triggered, but if you hear people saying positive things about Black marriages and you get triggered, then there's something with you that topic triggered you. It could be a mama issue. It could be you've been burned in the past. It could be something that triggers.
I think that what it means, it doesn't mean necessarily you have a flaw. I think it means that you have something heightened your sense of your need for security. Like you suddenly got jolted because you've been traumatized in that area.
Yes.
Right. So a lot of the men who really hate women, like are really mad at women, it's because they've been body slammed by a woman emotionally. Yeah. Like they've been emotionally body slammed and haven't been able to get over that to at least know that all women ain't the same. And that you always, no matter who you are, male or female, you got to watch out for predators. Like I think, like for example, think about a woman who maybe was sexually assaulted and never got help for that. She might have an issue and a fear of men all the time. Like if a man walks up and even says hello to her, she might get jolty because she doesn't want to go back to that place. Well, I think a lot of men that have been emotionally violated, right? Maybe somebody
emotionally or physically.
It could be physical too. Yeah, physical too. Right. With I don't know. And you're the therapist. You have the license and all this stuff. But I'd be curious to know what you think about that theory that a man that a lot of the men who just seem to really have a major issue with Black women, they see them as the enemy because there's this unaddressed trauma that they've had in their life.
Yeah. And so usually now I did talk about the positives of social media, how if I'm looking for positive Black images, I can type it in the search and I can find it easily. But also if I was just looking at Black women are terrible, if I really wanted to look for it, I could put that in the search engine and find that. And so when I see that sort of negativity, I look on it and I think that perhaps there's a sense of talking down about Black women. And in order for you to talk down to somebody means that you do have to think that you're better than that person. Okay. And underneath a lot of that is a trauma and a hurt child. Underneath a lot of that, it is a hurt child underneath that, because really, if you weren't traumatized by it, then you wouldn't have the need to have a one-up. Oh, I'm better than you. You would not have a need to have a one-up. You can be more loving and accepting. That's what I found.
Well, I definitely know that loving anybody, or being open requires vulnerability. And a lot of people will put up walls because they don't want to be vulnerable because they've been traumatized, right? And they're scared, right? So I can see all of that, And so anyway, let me keep reading here. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. And also, by the way, there's a love and money curriculum at the Black Business School. If you are into that kind of thing, if you want to understand how love and money and relationships kind of mix. So feel free to go to the blackloveblueprint.com. We also have a film series with a bunch of relationship experts that kind of help us dissect the pending war between Black men and Black women, which really isn't a war, but there is a war in certain segments of our society. So we're here to end the war, though. I don't want to be a part of that. So I'm going to read more to you. They said, so this is from Moguldom. And Moguldom also says that for Black men with a college degree, 76% are married by the age of 40, according to 2008 data. Just 63% of Black men with a high school diploma get married. Does that surprise you?
That doesn't surprise me at all, especially since Black men in particular will get married if they feel financially secure. They will look for somebody if they feel financially secure. They'll feel like, okay, now that I have a college degree and I'm established in my career, now I'm ready to settle down and have a family.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Okay. Here's another great one. I think this will be fun.
Okay, which one is
JoJo says, Boyce Watkins, my name's spelled BOYCE. Learn how to spell JoJo. He says, Boyce Watkins, he marrying a baby mama. So you're a baby mama, apparently, according to him. You the king of simping. Why you didn't marry her when you was 23 years old? You 50 years old now. You getting the leftovers. Okay.
Yeah, why didn't you marry me when you were 23? What's going on?
I don't know. Maybe it's because she had a husband.
But I didn't have a husband at 23.
You know what? When I met you at 23, you were the most beautiful woman that I'd ever seen in my life. And basically, I was her friend in college, and we were very good friends in college. And then we ended up being friends, and she got married. She married someone else and was married for a really long time. And we started dating about 4 years ago. So, and we were going to get married in 2020, and then COVID kind of pushed that back. And so one of the things that's interesting about JoJo's comment, because I want to make sure he's heard. I know he's trolling, but I think it's important to hear that, because I think these kinds of discussions can be had. That's okay. Is that, I really want to encourage guys, and I think people know this, but I want to kind of challenge that narrative that's out there, which I think is just not true, that being in a relationship with a woman with a child is somehow a bad thing, that somehow a woman with a child is less worthy than a woman that has no kids. And I think I take that a little bit personal, because my father married my mother, and he was a handsome man. There were lots of women out there, and he could have had a lot of fun, but he wanted to be my father. He met me and he fell in love with me, and he loved my mother very much. My mother was a looker. She was a very pretty lady, and we were a package. Like, we were together, and I didn't have a father really directly at that time. And at least I know he wasn't there when I was born. And so, I honor the fact that he was man enough to step up and take care of me. And the thing I think I hope guys will consider is that, kids are fun. Like, if you like kids and you're a decent person, then children can add so much. Like, I love the kids. Like, I just, we co-parent with their dad, and I can call them anytime we have any issues with the kids. The kids are better off because they have 3 great parents that care about them. And I just, having the kids actually made it more appealing to me, because I like children. And maybe you don't want to necessarily start over and have a newborn baby. It's kind of nice when the kids, like, you're like, okay, we got 10 years and then they'll be out of the house. So I'd like to get your thoughts on some of that. That's my perception. So I would just say to guys that buy into this idea, and ladies too, that somehow because you have a child, you are a less viable option. I think that's a bunch of BS, because because there are some really crappy people that have no children, and there are some amazing women who happen to have a child, or men too, who have children, right? Who are good people. And children are not some sort of toxic asset. Like, they're not some sort of burden. Like, a good child, a well-behaved child is actually a blessing. I mean, what are your thoughts?
I got a lot of thoughts on that. I mean, for me, I guess I can talk about me. It's a difficult decision to end a marriage. You know what I mean? It's like something that you might not hoped would ever happen. And, I took it upon myself to just say, you know what, Alicia, being happy is what's more important. And so you could just be a single mom for the rest of your life. Like, I really believed people like that, like, who left a message or whatever. I really believed that, like, I was no good, because here I am with these children. And I would just basically was like, okay, I'm fine. I'm okay. I'll just be a single mom. Financially, I was okay, so I didn't really need anybody to take care of me financially. I have my own career. I had my own thing going on. And so I really did. I have to be honest. I really used to believe that. Like, I used to, back in my 20s, I used to say, I ain't marrying nobody. I'm not dating anybody with no kids. How naive am I? I'm going to eliminate men just because he has a child. I'm not going to do that. Like, so I used to feel that way, but I'm much more mature now. And I know better. And I know, and I think, like, I believe the myth, the things that we're talking about in this article, they don't surprise me now, but back when I was brainwashed, it would have surprised me. Back when I was brainwashed, I would have said, oh, dating somebody with kids is terrible. Back when I was brainwashed, I wouldn't have realized that a blended family can be just as healthy and just as nurturing and just as successful as any other family. And I wouldn't have realized how common blended families are, by the way. I'm much more wiser. I'm much more mature. I'm definitely a better wife now, or will be now, than I ever would have been. I know who I am a little more. You just experience things and you've been through things, and I realize what's important. So I really do think that we are probably very lucky because the kid's father, I had one baby daddy who had children with one person, and I was married to him, but he's a remarkable person.
Yeah,
I picked a really wonderful person. And I'm not even trying to sugarcoat it. Like, it really, I couldn't have asked for a better scenario. And I never would have known that you boys, my little friend, had this other side to him, this sweet little darling side to him that I didn't see before. Mm-hmm. And I swear to God, I never thought you were ever interested in me. Like, when we met, I remember when we met in that library and you called me on the phone and all you did was talk about your new girlfriend.
Yeah, but that was really.
So with that, I was like, he doesn't
we'll talk about it. We'll talk about our relationship later. But that was just me, at that stage in my life. I didn't know really how to talk to girls and approach the girl I really wanted to date. I really liked you. I just didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to nobody ever really taught me how to talk to women. I learned that literally when I was 30.
That is so funny. I think what's like really interesting too is that like all my friends thought we were dating, and they never, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Let's
dating.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Okay.
Yeah, let's move on. But yeah, so I would say that I guess people can do what they want to do, but I wouldn't. I think that this idea that Black men are so immature that we only show up for the vagina. And we don't want any of the responsibility. I think that kind of makes us look kind of bad. I don't know what you guys think, but I think the Black man has in media, we're given this negative reputation that we're not capable of handling responsibility. And I'm big into masculinity. And I think that masculinity means that, yeah, I got this. I'm going to have your back. Yeah, I'm going to be sturdy for the family. Yeah, I'm going to take care of the people around me. And I don't necessarily, I just, some of the stuff I just see from the behavior of Black men is really weird. Almost just kind of.
Well, before you move on, I mean, one thing I want to say is that we were talking earlier about fear, how fear keeps you into situations that you shouldn't be in. Fear can stop you from wanting to move on when you need to move on. Because I talked about some relationships do have an expiration date, and fear keeps you in relationships that are past due for a long time past due because you're scared of being you're scared of being a statistic. You're scared of not finding anybody. You're scared of this, and you're afraid, and fear can keep you in situations that aren't good for you. And so I just wanted to say that you can actually find the love that you want, because I did.
Yeah, well, and I think you can, but I also say, I think that's an area where our theories are not always, in complete sync. Because I'm a believer in commitment, and meaning that
what does that mean?
To me, it means that you work on your current relationship as opposed to trying to just start a new one. That if you like, if I can, I'm not saying that I have an issue with people who have, divorces and all that. I don't really care what people do with their lives, but it's kind of like, okay, what's the value of a lifetime commitment if it's not a lifetime commitment? If it's conditional, then okay, let's make it conditional. Let's change the vows. The vows say, not till death do us part. The vows say until unhappiness does us part.
Yeah.
Right?
So that's an interesting definition of commitment. So, another definition of commitment is also doing what's best for the other person. Okay. So I feel that I got to the point where I started to learn myself in a way where I had to do what was best for the other person in the relationship. And that's what I did. That was my definition of commitment. Doing what's best for that particular person meant letting him go.
Well, I'm not going to knock it.
And that's commitment. I was that committed to it that I knew I needed to let it go. And so I just wanted to say that, like, if you're in a situation that is going to be very detrimental to you, sometimes your commitment to yourself and your commitment to doing what's best for the other person does not necessarily mean that you have to stay together.
Okay. Well, for me, it's simpler.
And aren't you happy?
For me, it's simpler than that. If I make a vow before God that says I'm gonna be with this woman for the rest of my life, then I'm gonna literally do everything in my power to make that happen. And that's why I didn't get married, was because I saw commitment as a real commitment. Yeah. Meaning I have no choice. I cannot back up. I cannot walk out. Yeah. Right. And now maybe that's
Now
naive.
that's a
Well,
good luxury. Okay, go on.
well, yeah, I mean, but you can, ask me in 25 years, maybe my view will change. I don't know. But I really, like when I asked my father, how did you stay married for 46 years? My father's old school. He keeps it simple. He says, because I didn't get a divorce. That's it. Because I kept coming home every day. And I know some people say, well, no, but that's not good because then you got to be unhappy and you got to be miserable. Well, then, it's like when I decided to go get my PhD, I made a commitment to finishing that program. I was very unhappy. I was very stressed out. I was very much wanting to quit, but I didn't because I made a commitment. So that's kind of, so I think it's a personal choice. It's always a personal choice.
I was just going to say the exact same thing. I think it really is a personal choice, the commitment level. I think that there are a lot of people in my PhD program who didn't finish, who went on and lived very full lives. Like they realized that getting a PhD was not something they wanted to do. Like once they got into the PhD program and they start realizing how centers of academia operate. Hold on a second. They start realizing how academia operates, they start realizing I don't want to be in academia anymore.
And those people,
hold on.
And those are not my kind of people.
Well, I just want to say that committing to something just for the sake of commitment may not be necessarily what's best for you. So for some, and I have reached out to some people who did not finish the PhD program, and they are living wonderful, full lives, and they are very happy that they left. You know what I mean? Because they realize, okay, excellent, this is not the right path for me. And because there was a guy who ended up working for the state as a policymaker. He said, I'm way more interested in practice and doing policy and working for the government. He is he's a brilliant man, would have made a wonderful.
So he never should have made the commitment. He should have investigated himself. Right. But I'm not saying you're wrong. Okay. I'm not saying that you can't be happy. Like it's easy. Life is, let me just say this. Life is easier when you don't make commitments a lot of times, because then you got complete flexibility. You can do whatever you want. That's a mathematical concept. In mathematics, I can show you mathematically that a series of equations that minimize the number of constraints, meaning minimizing the number of commitments, it can optimize itself better than a series of equations that have constraints. Commitments are constraints, right? So I'm not saying that it's not more fulfilling and more fun to not have commitments. That was one of the reasons why I stayed very flexible in my life. I did not make commitments at all because I knew the weight of a commitment. Like it's like some people don't know the weight of a commitment. Some people get married because they met a big butt and a smile. They knew that person for a couple of weeks. They had some good sex, and they said, "Okay, I'm gonna make this big commitment for the rest of my life." I don't think that's how you should go about living your life. That's what I'm saying. I think that people they do it too fast and they don't think it through. Then next thing you know, they're like, oh, well, sometimes commitments change. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Because you wasn't really about that life from the jump.
Okay. So in that following that train of thought, I would have to agree with you, because I think that I probably should not have made the commitment to marry the person that I married then. You know what I mean? Because maybe there was some blind spots that I did not see.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's what it is. You know what I mean? Perhaps I didn't think it through. Perhaps that showed upon, because I was in my 20s. And so perhaps that was a poor reflection on my decision making. So in that sense, you're right.
Well, and I don't think it's something you have to take personally, right?
Well, it's not personal, but it's just, I want to make sure that people can hear our story and see themselves in our story. I'm not saying it just to talk about myself, but I'm saying it so that people can hear our story and the story in this article, stuff that we're talking about, so that they can, so that they can make their own choices.
Well, I agree with Demetrius. Demetrius says commitment is an adult word.
It is.
And I agree with him 100%. Maybe I'm old school, old fashioned, but I really think people should literally meditate on what commitment means. It's like taking on debt. Like I got a cousin, he'll gladly sign any piece of paper to take on. If you offer to loan him $1 million, he'll be like, sure, I'll pay you $1 million. When do you need it? Oh, I need $1 million by Tuesday. He'll be like, okay. And he'll sign because the commitment means nothing to him because he's not going to pay you back. Right. He'll commit to anything. And he does that with women. He'll just tell
you whatever you want.
He'll tell them whatever they want. He'll make any promise. And because he can give you the world as long as it's a fantasy world. He can't give you the 3D physical world, but he can give you the fantasy world. You wanna ride Puff the Magic Dragon every morning to school with $10 million in the bank? Sure, I'll give you that. right? But to me, that's where that maturity piece comes in, you know, because one of the things I got from my father was that manhood means the ability to manifest. Like if I promise you that I'm going to deliver something, I'm really going to deliver that. So I'm going to think carefully. So I used to get beat up on. I used to get criticized because I wouldn't commit. I would have, I would date. I had girlfriends, but I didn't commit.
I have thoughts about that.
No, right. I'm sure. I'm sure as a therapist. I'm sure as a therapist, you can break it down and analyze it. But I'm gonna tell you what was going on in my head.
Okay.
My head is I don't commit to shit because I know what a commitment means. To this day, I don't commit to hardly anything. If somebody says, "Hey, can we have a meeting next Tuesday at 10 o'clock?" I'll be like, "I don't know. Let me think about it. Let me see." Because I'm not going to tell you I'm going to do it until I'm sure, until I've weighed it down and really thought about what that means. Right. Then when I'm like, okay, I can do this. Sure, I'll do it. But seriously, I just think when it comes
to, I do feel like a big commitment from you, and I appreciate that. Like all around.
Yeah, like
I love that about you.
Well, marrying you is not something I was gonna just do. Like I really was okay with going the rest of my life without marrying anyone until my situation met a certain threshold. I had a long relationship before you, and I was like, she's great. I just don't want to marry her, but she's a great person. It's a great situation. I just don't think I want to make that type of commitment. So literally, and that's what makes me a little bit different is that a lot of people do things on autopilot. They do it because everybody else is doing it. Oh, I'm gonna get married because everybody else is getting married. I'm gonna have a baby because everybody else is having a baby. I'm gonna do this because everybody else is doing. I don't do that. I've never done that in my life because I find that the greatest pathway to unhappiness is to let other people tell you how to live your life. Shall we continue with the article? What do you think?
I have a lot of thoughts, but I'll let you continue with the article. You know, I have a lot of thoughts. I'll let you continue.
She sat there and gave me a blank stare for about.
I have a lot of thoughts. I really do have a lot of thoughts, but I'll let you continue.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of thoughts. You know what? People have a lot of thoughts about me, and the thing is, what I've just concluded is that the thoughts that matter are what I think about myself. And I'll tell you what. I will tell you what. I have been a very happy adult. I have
okay,
never...
continue on with the article.
Okay. All right.
A very happy
so
adult
let's read
article.
More. Here's the point about income. It says when it comes to income, there's been a long belief that Black men marry outside their race when they become successful. But it seems that successful Black men marry Black women. After an analysis of census data, Tolson and Marks found that 83% of married Black men who earned at least $100,000 annually married Black women. The same is true for educated Black men of all incomes. 85% of Black male college graduates marry Black women. Generally, 88% of married Black men, no matter what their income or education background, have Black wives. So that's interesting because that seems to contradict that myth and that lie that, Black men just don't like Black women, or they get a little bit of money, they don't want to be with Black women, or that all the Black men are just chasing Becky. What do you think?
I'd like to see what it was like 10 years ago. I'd like to see it like what are the trends? Is it getting that more and more Black men are dating Black women or marrying Black women, or are the numbers getting larger or the percentages getting smaller? I'd be interested to see what it would be over time. Because I remember like when I was little, a lot of those football players, they were all marrying blondes. They were all marrying, and I don't see that anymore now.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Yeah, don't you remember that? Like basketball players and football players. I know when I was in college, all those basketball players and football players were dating white women. But I don't know if they married them though. Maybe it was something that they did in college.
But that was never, and that was never my problem. I never had an attraction to white women. It was always easy for me to be loyal to Black women because I always thought Black women, I just always thought they were superior. Like I just, like they got the curves a lot of, and stuff like I like curves, and stuff like that. And I just didn't see any other women that look like Black women. The only women that look like Black women were actually just the Black women who speak Spanish, Latin women. Yeah, some of the Latin women, could actually compete with Black women. But, as far as like white women and Asian, no. Let me show y'all a picture. I'm gonna show y'all a picture of this gonna make y'all laugh. Here is a picture. It's on my Twitter.
You know what?
This is an old picture of me and Alicia.
I regret that I gave you that picture, boys.
I love this picture. I think this is a great picture.
Don't you remember that trip?
Yeah, it was really fun. It was epic. Yeah, we went to. This is from 1999, and we went to New York together. And
that was my first time in New York. Was it yours? Maybe you had been there.
It wasn't my first time in New York. It was my second time, but I had just gone for the first time that same year. Or sorry, I think we went in 1999 together, and my first time was 1998.
Look at that. That's right. Look at that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Look at you with that hair.
I know. I don't know what year the hair left. I don't.
Because I went to visit you in Ohio State a year later, and you did not have hair. It didn't look like you did.
Really?
Yeah.
We got video from that. We got.
Yeah, we have to go through the video, boys.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what a trip!
Mm-hmm.
And it's we slept in the same hotel.
Yes, we did.
Oh, the same room.
Not in the same bed.
Not in the same bed.
Well, there's three of us.
What would have happened if you would have been like, come on over?
I wouldn't have done that because I had respect for the man you were
dating at the time. I wouldn't have come over.
Yeah. Well, you know, I didn't, you know, that was, I didn't want to be accused of toxic masculinity.
You were a gentleman.
Well, you know,
you were a good friend. You were an excellent friend. You were my favorite friend, boys.
Well, I've always had respect for you. You know, I think that's important.
Okay, continue.
So a study found in 2015 that 75% of recently married Black men were married to Black women. There is a lower marriage rate for Black women living in urban centers where lifestyle and cost of living appear less conducive to marriage and family. Mm-hmm, interesting. Mm-hmm. So women who live in cities have a harder time finding a husband.
Well, you know what? I will say that, you know, like I lived in the city, and like most of the other Black women who live in the city, you get married and you have a child, you're moving out of the city. You know, it's just not very family friendly. Like I love living in Chicago because I did city stuff. You know, I go hang out at the bars, or I hang out at the clubs, or, you know, take advantage of the lakefront and all that great stuff. But like once you settle down, get married, and have kids, like you need like safety and parks and like your needs change. So you move to the suburbs.
Yeah, nobody wants to, like, I mean, I don't know. I don't think I'd want to raise kids in like New York City or something.
Yeah, it's just not very conducive to family. So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Okay. So here's more. Now, this I'm sure you have something to say about this. They said dating for Black women in the U.S. can be difficult. Single Black women are faced with a parade of racist stereotypes that were angry, overbearing, lazy, prudish, hypersexual, and emasculating all at once, NPR reported. What do you think about those stereotypes?
Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of that thrown at me, you know, and it's just like, it's bizarre, you know, because I'm not being angry. I'm just stating my point. You know, I'm not being, what are the words? Pull the article.
Oh, the words?
Yeah,
the words are angry, overbearing,
I'm not being overbearing,
lazy, prudish, hypersexual, emasculating.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Black women are being that way at all. They love hard. All Black women I know love hard. Like you ain't never been loved till you've been loved by a Black woman, you know, because you're going to feel it.
Well, shout out to Black women. I agree with that. Well, you know, the weird thing about a stereotype, though, is you can always find somebody that's going to fill the stereotype. Like if I believe all Asians are tall, I can find tall Asians and put them all on TV and make everybody think every Asian is 6'5" or taller. Right. And so I think that so obviously the stereotypes are dangerous because the stereotype infects the perception that people have of other members of the group who don't fit the stereotype. Right. So you get infected by the stereotype. Like, so if all white people do is promote Black men who are gangster, thug, killer, drug addicted, you know, like hate Black women or whatever, then when somebody meets me, they might mistake me. It'll be a case of mistaken identity. They're going to assume all these things about me based on what they've seen in the media. And I think that Black men and Black women are both impacted by this, which is why we need more Black owned media. What do you think?
Yeah, and also the Black whore stereotype, you know, that comes from slavery.
And Cardi B.
Well, it comes from slavery. So, you know, a lot of Black women in the media who are chosen, I mean, you've talked about this a lot. A lot of the Black women who are chosen in the media fit one of the four stereotypes.
The four. What are
The
four?
four. Well, you just named him. It's the
the angry
it's the angry black woman stereotype, hypersexual stereotype, the welfare queen stereotype, the gold digger stereotype, and what's the other one? The mammy. You know, the mammy stereotype. So those are the stereotypes that, you know, turn the TV on and every black woman you find will fit into one of those four stereotypes.
Well, you know, the worst things about stereotypes too is that there are a lot of our people who don't know who they are, right? So they figure out what it means to be black or what they think it means to be black by watching TV, which is filled with stereotypes. So then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, and I've seen that. I've seen people imitate what they see on TV, and they were talking about dangerous shows that are out there that really hurt the image of the black woman, like Scandal, How to Get Away with Murder, Being Mary Jane. And they said all these shows are written by black women. Isn't that interesting?
Well, those are the sanctioned black women. You know, there are a lot of black women. I mean, go to Quayle TV and some of these alternative media, but those are the sanctioned black women. And Scandal, oh my goodness. A lot of my friends were watching it. And I could not get through the second episode. I got through a little bit of the first one. And by the second episode, when she cussed out that black man, what was her name? Olivia Pope. Is that her name? Anyway, when she cussed out that black man who was a security guard at the White House and she told him off, I turned the TV off. I was done. And then what was the other one? How to Get Away with Murder. Oh, there's a scene. I used to do this whole presentation at my university on black women stereotypes and the feminist movement. And I used to do on the womanist and talking about the womanist and all of that. I used to do those presentations back in the day. But yeah, so How to Get Away with Murder, I would play a clip from there where her white husband, there's a clip where her white husband what's the lady's name who was in that How to Get Away with Murder?
Oh, Carrie.
No, it's not Carrie Wash. She's on Scandal. It's the other one.
Octavia. No,
not that one. The other one.
She's the help. Viola Davis.
He takes her and he shoves her up against the wall and he calls her a whore and he said, "You amount to nothing." And he just yelled at her. And I play that clip when I start talking about
the black man did that to her.
The white husband did that to her.
Oh, okay.
I mean, just talked all of the stereotypes about black women. He went down the line, and I have that clip. I should send it to you. Anyway, so I used to show that how the stereotype. I did a whole module thing on that, but anyway, and like that, and I was just done with it. Like, I'm done with television. I turn that thing off. I don't want to see myself like that because it has an impact on my subconscious mind.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, well, you know what? Well, give me a yes or no. How many of you watched that show, How to Get Away with Murder? Give me a yes or no. And by the way, while you answer that question, I want to let you know I put the URL for or the information for Quayle TV. We mentioned Quayle TV. I actually met the founder, who's a wonderful black woman who created. She's actually the cousin of our wedding planner. We didn't even know that was random.
The Quayle TV?
Yes, she's Charlene's.
Hold on.
She's her cousin.
Well, you know, she's my good friend's sister. She's the sister to my work buddy.
Oh,
at my university.
Oh, then maybe I got it wrong. No, maybe she's not Charlene. Maybe she's not her cousin.
Okay.
Anyway, so Quayle TV is kind of the black Netflix, and that's where actually some of our movies. We've made movies. We have Boyce Watkins films. We actually put films on Quayle TV, and it's really good. And so we, just in terms of the spirit of buying black and supporting black, check out Quayle TV. They have a great app, and I spelled it in the chat so you guys can see it's KWELI. Also, by the way, Alicia happens to be a licensed couples counselor and relationship coach. So if you want to go take a look at her platform, feel free to go to coachingwithdralicia.com. The URL is right there on the screen. So if you are in a relationship or, want to just sort of understand that process better and want to get some one-on-one help, you can go to coachingwithdralicia.com. That's the URL on the screen. All right. So, so I guess that's everything. So I want to ask you. Also, let me see. I'm looking here to see who watches How to Get Away with Murder. Or no, sorry, Scandal.
Scandal. Yeah.
I know Roland Martin watches Scandal. He loves it. Okay, Cass says he stopped watching TV years ago. I love farm life, but don't. Okay, mind living off the grid. Okay. Let me see here.
See, we got some good people on here.
Yeah, these are the good black people.
I
love it. Yeah, these are the anti-slaves.
They got fed up like I did.
Well, they I love talking to black people who taking the shackles off.
Yeah.
Like the stereotyping and brainwashing is so ugly and it's just kind of ridiculous. So anyway, So we're gonna head on out. And someone asked me, last question someone asked in the chat is, what do you think? What's your view on interracial relationships? Some people keep saying that you're biracial.
I'm not biracial. Both my parents are black.
She's got two black parents. I don't know. I don't know how black she got to be, but yeah, Alicia's a black woman. So like, anyway,
but it's so weird that that's just how I just came out kind of lighter.
Yeah,
I don't know, because everyone else in my family is dark or brown or just a range.
We've got that slave master blood.
Well, yeah,
all of us do.
Somebody was raped.
I know I do.
I imagine.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you think about interracial marriage? Like, what do you? How do you
I think like to each his own. People should be able to marry who they want to marry. I know I personally couldn't do it, but you know, I don't want to pass judgment on interracial relationships and marriages. That's what I'll say.
Yeah,
I don't want to step on anyone's toes.
I don't think you can judge anybody's relationship, right? I think that's just it's a waste of time. It's kind of tacky. I choose to see it like this in two ways. One, I made a conscious decision to say, if I get married, I'm gonna marry a black woman. There was, because when I talk about intergenerational wealth and black power and all this stuff, the most valuable asset that I own is my life. And so when I share that asset and pass that asset on, which is my life, my legacy, my last name, my wealth, my power, I want that to stay in the black community. I don't want to give that away. Right. So I made that decision to say, no, people say, well, you can't choose who you fall in love with. Yes, you can. I believe you can be very thoughtful and say, I will fall in love with this. I'm opening myself to fall in love with that person, but I'm not open to fall in love with that person. Because I mean, seriously, because if you can control who you fall in love with, you can fall in love with your cousin, but you ain't gonna do that because it's your cousin. That's nasty, right? Or your best friend. You might have a best friend that you don't want to have a relationship with, and you just say, you know what, you're attractive, but I'm not interested.
Well, right? See, I'm not attracted to white men. Like, black men have a certain swag. Y'all got a certain swag, man. That it is duplicated by none. So I just it just wouldn't.
Shout out to the black man.
It just wouldn't get me. I'd be like, this ain't never gonna work because I'm not into you like that. Like, it just wouldn't. It
wouldn't work. Just
never work for me. It just wouldn't. And I don't know. I mean, all that other stuff. If I was attracted to a white man, I'd marry one.
Okay.
But I don't like them like that.
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna say this. It probably sounds racist. I don't know what people think, but even if I was attracted to a white woman, I wouldn't marry her.
Okay.
Not and I would just have to explain because because of the Biden crime bill, there literally legit is a shortage of marriage age marriable black men. This has been statistically proven.
Okay.
So my belief is I need to be there for black women. I need to be there for black children. I believe that, right? So that was always my belief. But then the other point of that is I think that there's something to be said. Like, I think it's okay to say that there's something to be said about that black person who only dates outside their race, who like that black man who must have a white woman, or that black woman who must have a white man. Where did you get that preference from? What happened that led you to, because that can be defined as self-hate, because, you're supposed to be attracted to people that are like you, your parent, your opposite, like pictures of you and my mama together. Y'all look just alike, and that's the subconscious speaking, but that's truth, right? You're supposed to be attracted to things that are similar to yourself. So the fact that you find the things that are similar to you to be unattractive speaks volumes about something going on inside your psyche. But I'm not a psychologist.
Yeah, it would be an issue. I think that it's an issue if you're a black woman and you can't look at a black man and find him attractive, because that's you. That means maybe you don't find yourself attractive. There's something in you. It's the self-hatred or I want to say like non-acceptance of yourself. There's something there that you are rejecting. And then you're putting this whiteness on a pedestal. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
You know what it is? It's like, like, it's like a person who can't stand fat people because they used to be fat. And it's like, I was fat and my fatness was a bad thing. And since I got rid of my fatness, I'm angry at anybody else who doesn't understand that fatness is a bad thing. So why are you comfortable being fat? Right? Maybe who knows? I mean, because I thought about that when I had that whole Lizzo controversy. I thought, I used to be big. Like, so what are you talking about? What do you mean I have a bias against big people? But I thought about it. And I said, well, maybe the reason I got annoyed with the promotion of obesity as body positivity is because I don't see obesity as body positivity. I see obesity as body negativity, which is why I got the obesity out of my system.
Have you noticed that you don't see much of that? So, that sort of body positivity anymore ever since COVID happened.
That's really interesting.
We stopped talking about it.
They really stopped promoting. Yeah, that's true. You have, Lizzo ain't winning Grammys and stuff and all that.
Where is she?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Because that's what's killing Black people during COVID is obesity and diabetes and heart disease.
All they talked about.
Oh yeah, these pre-existing conditions. Yeah. That's so. I think I was right. I think that I actually had a point. But I think but then again, because white people are going to always be white. They're going to misinterpret what I'm saying.
Did white people misinterpret? Yeah, they did.
Yeah, white media did. White media collapsed it down to Black men hate Black women, Black men toxic masculinity, sexist, and
they put their own spin on
it. And did do an interview with me, because seriously, if ABC News was like, okay, we're going to write about you, so we're going to ask you what you think and ask you to explain it. I think there's just some Black people they don't want to talk to because they know that people like me are smarter than they are, and I can actually break it down and actually help you at least consider my point of view. And so it's harder to have a conversation with you than it is for me to just demean you and reduce you to an ugly stereotype or cartoon character.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. There we go with the mammy. That's the mammy stereotype. The heavyset woman who's she was actually embracing two stereotypes. She was embracing the mammy and the whore stereotype.
Yeah, she was a twofer.
She was a twofer. You got twofer in one. No wonder she was so popular. Like that's what we're gonna see. That's the order of the day.
Well, but it's not. I don't want to be hating on Lizzo or anything like that. I just think, and I think she's so talented. And you played the flute. Right?
I did, but
you didn't have to twerk while you were playing the flute. You just played the flute and you were good at it. And why can't that be enough? Why can't a Black woman just be talented at what she does? Why we gotta do the whole circus act at the same time? Like I don't get that. Like you look at all these images, and it's like they're like, okay, we love you. We don't love you because you're talented. We don't love you because Black Lives Matter and we want to see Black people do well. We love you because you take pictures like this and you twerk in front of white men and you do outrageous things on TikTok in order to get attention. And I thought that was unfair to her.
Oh my goodness, she's totally naked right there.
That is
naked. Really something.
I guess they say when you see the nipple.
I wonder what her staying power is going to be if she's going to come back. You know what I mean? Or is she just like done?
Well, I give her props because she's actually online, talking about trying to lose weight.
Yeah, she the kids were showing me that she was like eating vegan and trying to eat healthy, and she's exercising. So
yeah, and
maybe
I think
you
that's
got
good.
to her, boys.
Well, I knew I got to her when the whole controversy started because she responded to me, and I tried to explain that. Some people understood. Sometimes I say things and I talk over people's heads. I can't help it. I'm not going to dumb down the conversation, because I don't think Black people are dumb. I just look for smart Black people. That's why I literally tell people when they come to my platform, this is for intelligent Black people. So you either have to be intelligent or want to be smarter because I'm going to challenge your thinking. Well, today I was talking about LeBron James and that whole thing with Courtside Karen, and I was saying, I get what LeBron was doing. I thought it was okay. It was cool that he told her off. He shut her down, but maybe he should have just ignored her.
He tweeted her, didn't he?
Yeah, like there's a part of that where when you just acknowledge somebody, you're elevating them. You're elevating the status. So when they're letting them know that they got to you, right? So that's a win for them, right? So when I put out a tweet and somebody said, "Oh, Lizzo went off on you today," I'm like, oh, wow. So you mean Lizzo went off on me in front of her 10 million Twitter followers? Okay. Well, what people don't know is that I got another 10,000 followers just because, everybody ain't going to agree with Lizzo. Like there's a whole bunch of people who suddenly were like, oh, well, who's this professor? And then they went to go look me up, when they wouldn't have done that if Lizzo had not shined the light on my existence, right? So I think if I were Lizzo, I would have just ignored me. But the reason she didn't ignore me is because she knew there was an element of truth.
There was an element of truth. And I'm sure deep down inside, she wants to be healthier.
I think she does.
Yeah.
And I love, I really want to see her do well. And I want to see black people do it. I want to see black people live. I want to see us, you know,
and
prosper.
I would like for Lizzo to know that her talent is tremendous. Like, she doesn't have to. Why do you have to do that? You don't have to do that. Let your talent and your voice and your music speak for itself.
You know, I agree with that. I agree. Okay, so anyway, so we're just talking about a little bit of everything.
Rambling on? Is that what it is?
Well, we are, but you know, I think I learned a lot from you, so I enjoy talking to you. You know,
you got heated there with that whole commitment thing.
Well,
that really got you.
Well, certain things, you know, I'm a principled man. There's certain things that I just, you know, you're not gonna knock me off that perch. Period.
Oh, look at you. Okay.
Nope. Can't nobody knock me off certain perches.
Right. That was kind of sexy, I gotta tell you.
Oh, you thought that was sexy?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much.
I love that. Oh, wait, is that too much?
Yeah, that's okay. I think they know you like me.
I do like
Well, one of the internet conspiracies was that you really didn't like me. You were just pretending.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that was one of the conspiracy was.
Oh, I didn't even know
that you on that engagement video when we got engaged that you were deliberately standing away from me and pretending to like me.
You know, boys, I was so floored. Like, I knew, like, I kind of knew, but that was just like, no way. Oh my gosh. What a day.
Well, you know,
we got to take our pilgrimage again. I want to go back.
Yeah, we got to
that library.
Yeah, the library where we met. That's where I proposed to you, in the same place I met you a long time ago.
You are so romantic.
Well, it was important. It was I had to go full circle, you know.
Yeah.
And that was and you did great. I appreciate that. Thanks for saying yes.
Oh, of course.
I kind of knew you would say yes.
Yeah, of course you knew.
I wasn't gonna jump out there without you.
I feel privileged because you have been single for so long that there was something in me that made you want to make that commitment to me. And that, like, every day I think about that.
Well, not every day a man gets to marry the woman of his dreams, you know. Aww. So yeah, I'm blessed, and I don't waste my blessings, so I don't take them for granted.
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, let's end this podcast and let's go to bed.
All right. Okay, Black people. Well, it was fun talking to you. Thank you for joining us for this conversation. Make sure you subscribe to the Black Love channel. We actually have a reality series we do. You can check out some of the stuff there. And also, in addition to that, if you want to just take a look, Alicia is a couples counselor, so licensed and everything, and she's also a full professor of social work. So if you are in a relationship and you want to get some help, she's really good at what she does. So there's her URL. Feel free to go take a look. So I'm out of here, guys. Have a good night. Thank you all for listening. Hit the thumbs up button on your way out if you could, and we'll be back real soon. So take care. Bye-bye.